He could smell the city before he felt its heartbeat. The stench of 1,000 cook fires clinging to humid summer air, the sour tang of half-rotted fish turned up from Blackwater Bay, and the unmistakable undertone of fear that seeped from every cobbled lane. From the high balcony off his solar in Maegor's Holdfast, Tyrion Lannister watched dusk settle like bruises upon King's Landing. Lamps flickered awake along the street of silk. Bells tolled the curfew in Fleabottom. Ships creaked in anxious rhythm at anchor, while a red-gold sky bled itself into night. He drew a slow breath, tasting soot and salt upon his tongue, and wondered, not for the first time, whether he was damning himself more thoroughly than his sister ever could. Cersei. Even her name brought a sourness behind the eyes, as if he had swallowed a lemon whole. She stalked his hours like a golden shadow, whispering threats in silk-wrapped tones, sharing smiles as sharp as the edge of a Valyrian blade. Tyrion touched the bridge of his nose where purple bruises had only recently faded from Sir Mandon Moore's attempt upon his life. Cersei had not ordered that outrage. She was too clever to leave a blade so plain, but she rejoiced in it all the same, and sent him sweet arbor gold afterward to show her goodwill. He had let the vintage breathe and poured it down the privy. A lion learns. Stannis Baratheon was coming. 80 war galleys clawed their oars against the tide, hulking cogs heavy with footmen behind them. By every raven and rumor, the Lord of Dragonstone meant to make the capital bleed before he claimed it. Yet inside the Red Keep, Tyrion feared the enemy nearer to hand. A queen who would burn her children rather than yield. A queen who would turn wildfire upon friend and foe alike if defeat drew close. And she would do that in defeat. What might she do while victory still seemed possible? He glanced at the parchment on his desk, a cipher from Varys, each curving letter plainly insincere. The spider's flowing hand had delivered a single, poisonous line. The lioness is sharpening her claws for the hand. Below, in Varys' round and careful scrawl, an inventory of Cersei's private stores. 3 casks of wildfire hidden beneath the tower of the hand. How fitting! A quartet of crossbows newly strung, a pair of mute cupbearers, sworn to her service by Lord Baelish, and moon tea in quantities unfit for any mere tincture. Tyrion read the list twice. Every item smelt of murder. In that moment, a decision came to him as clear and irrevocable as a blade-breaking skin. If Stannis breached the walls, the realm would need a guiding hand, one not given to flames and madness. And if Stannis failed, King's Landing would yet suffer Cersei's caprices. For Tommen's sake, for Myrcella's, for the small folk, and even for Jaime, he must silence the queen before the bells of battle rang. "You are plotting kinslaying," whispered the voice he hated, the voice that sounded so damnably like Lord Tywin. He poured himself a cup of sour red. "Plotting," he muttered. "I am beyond plotting." He raised the cup in mocking salute to the city, and drank deep. Varys arrived just after dark, gliding through Tyrion's door with noiseless grace, his lavender silk robes sighing like defeated ghosts. "You summoned me, my lord." The eunuch folded plump hands, face bland as curdled milk. Shadows from the brazier danced over his scalp, turning it the color of melted butter. Tyrion waved the spider closer. "I have a task both delicate and damnable, Varys. The sort of task that might cost a man his life, or worse, his reputation." Varys pursed his lips, a polite courtier tasting soup. "And yet, you speak to me of it. I am honored." "Main, save the flattery." Tyrion braced his elbows on the desk. "Cersei must be removed. Quietly, without wildfire or theatrics. Can it be done?" Silence swelled between them, thick as unrendered fat. At last, Varys exhaled, the slightest tremor giving lie to his composure. "There was a time, long ago, when I thought myself beyond surprise. It seems the gods can still amuse me. Will you do it?" A slender finger traced the rim of a nearby candle. "A queen's death unearths 1,000 corpses buried in shallow graves. House Tyrell will howl. Lord Tywin will reignite the war in the west. The faith may declare Cersei a martyr, and her sons. Tommen cannot be king with Cersei alive." Tyrion let the sentence hang, unfinished. Or with Joffrey. He refused to let that line of thought take root. one assassination at a time. You wish the deed laid at Stannis' feet, I presume? Varys said. If the gods are kind. The gods are rarely kind to us, good my lord, but I will consider paths. You will act, Tyrion corrected. He slid a heavy purse across the desk. Gold spilled from its mouth. Lilies of Highgarden, falcons of Erin, stacks of silver stags. Whatever price you name after, double it. Triple, if that's what it takes. And remember, wildfire is as forbidden as Septon Barth's unnatural history. No flames, no screams. A cutthroat's kiss will suffice. Varys's hand settled on the purse. He did not move it. She is your blood. So was Joanna, Tyrion snapped, harsher than intended. The eunuch's eyes widened a fraction at that dying long ago name. The hand's voice softened. When the battle comes, we cannot risk a queen who would torch her own fleet to win. She would turn the city into a pyre and call it love. The spider bowed. As you command. Only after Varys left did Tyrion realize his wine goblet trembled in his grasp. Liquid sloshed dark onto the parchments. He wiped it away with a sleeve. It is done, he told himself. But the night felt no lighter, and the candles waned as if ashamed to witness. Days passed, each slower than the last. Fevered rumors buzzed through the streets like summer wasps. Stannis seen off Crackclaw Point. Lyseni cell sails sailing upriver. The Alchemists' Guild tripling its wildfire production at Cersei's behest. Tyrion spent long hours mapping chain placements, drilling green boys from the gold cloaks, bribing dockside smiths, and overseeing the mounting of scorpions atop the city walls. Yet at dawn and dusk alike, his thoughts returned to one chamber in the Tower of the Hand, where a queen paced like a caged lioness. He glimpsed Cersei only twice, once parading through the throne room in cloth of gold and rubies, smiling thinly at courtiers who bent knee. Once upon a summer terrace with Joffrey, her fingers entwined protectively in her son's. She looked radiant, wrathful, and entirely secure. It chilled him more than any blade. On the fifth night, after his pact with Varys, Tyrion could not sleep. He took a lantern and descended into the belly of the castle. Stone corridors coiling like entrails beneath Maker's Keep. Here limestone walls dripped green, and torches sputtered fitful light upon iron-shod doors better left unopened. He sought the place Varys had named, an abandoned Sally Port, sealed since the days of the Mad King. Cobwebs clung to its arch, rust devoured its hinges. Listening, he thought he heard a faint scrape, the whisper of steel drawn in darkness. But when he set the lantern down, the corridor lay still as a crypt. No one lurked. No assassin waited with bowed blade. Only cold and echoes. Too soon, he mused. Or too late. He left before the silence found voice. By the next evening, King's Landing quaked with anticipation. The distant glow of fires at sea revealed Stannis' scouting vessels probing the mouth of the Blackwater rush. Bells carried warnings on every breath of wind. The small folk huddled behind barred doors. Sellsward strained ale as if the battle to come might be drunk to death. Tyrion sat with Bronn atop the Mudgate battlements, sharing chalk scratch plans beneath a lantern's glow. Bronn flicked a dagger at the map, pinning a parchment ship to the quay. "I'm tellin' you, Halfman." Bronn alone used the slight with affection. "That chain's clever, but men fight dumb when they're scared. They'll trip over it and drown us all." "Then we drown together," Tyrion said, voice calm. "But Stannis will drown first." Bronn's dark eyes narrowed. "Your sister knows of this little trick?" "Not yet." The dwarf folded the map. "With luck, she never will." Thunder rolled from the bay, though no storm cloud crossed the sky. Tyrion frowned, then realized the growl came from the keep itself, a roar of voices rising like a dirge. Torches flared across the courtyard. Somewhere a woman screamed. Bronn cocked his head. "That sounds like trouble." Tyrion's gut turned to ice. "Come." They descended by stone steps two at a time, across the drawbridge, through postern gates, past a knot of frightened Lannister guards clustering like sheep. The screaming had stopped, replaced by a stunned murmur. Inside the Queen's ballroom, flickering torchlight threw monstrous shadows on golden tapestries. They found a circle of chambermaids weeping. Sir Osmond kettle-black on his knees, blood darkening the steel of his gorget. And at the center, Cersei Lannister sprawled upon a chaise, her silk-soaked crimson at the breast, eyes wide and unseeing. A feathered crossbow bolt jutted from between her alabaster hills, buried to the fletching. For one heartbeat Tyrion felt utterly hollow, as if every vein in his body had been drained. The next instant, he found himself moving, barking orders at Bronn, seizing the torch from a terrified squire. "Seal every door," he commanded. "No one leaves the keep." Sir Osmond gasped, fingers slick with his own blood. Your Grace," she said. Words failed. He collapsed in a heap. Tyrion stepped past him, aware the whole hall watched. He knelt beside Cersei, placing 2 fingers to her throat. No pulse thrummed beneath cold flesh. She had died within moments of the quarrel's kiss. A clean kill, without fire or screams. Varys kept his promise. And yet, looking upon her, Tyrion tasted ashes. Whatever hatred had filled him, it seemed petty now, a child's tantrum next to this quiet stillness. But there would be time for mourning, or guilt, laughter. He forced himself to stand. "The Queen is dead," he announced, voice ringing through the vaulted hall. "Summon the King's Guard. Send for Maester Franken to attend Sir Osmond, and bring Prince Joffrey to me at once." No one questioned. The hall erupted into frantic motion. Tyrion turned to Bronn, speaking low. "Find Varys. Tell him the seed has sprouted, and we fight a new battle now, one of whispers." Bronn nodded and vanished. Alone, amid the chaos, Tyrion gazed upon Cersei's face one last time. Even in death, she seemed to smirk. Her lips, still crimson, curled skyward as if she shared some final jest. Tyrion brushed a lock of gilded hair from her cheek. "You win," he murmured. "I feel nothing but empty." Then he extinguished his torch and stepped into darkness, hearing already the slow toll of bells beginning their lament. The bells tolled through the night, iron hearts breaking against stone. They rang for a queen, for a city poised on the brink, for sins too heavy to confess. In the Hall of the 100 Hearths, the small council gathered behind closed doors. Tyrion in the hand's chain of office, Grand Maester Pycelle with his rattling chains, Sir Jacelyn Bywater, stern and scarred, Lord Baelish smiling like a cat after cream, and Varys seated in a plain brown robe, conspicuously drab. Tyrion addressed them without preamble. The assassin slipped in through a servant's passage, fired from behind a pillar, and vanished into the night. "We have no name, no sigil, no witness save Sir Osmond, and he's likely to die of his wound by morning." Pycelle tugged his beard. Surely this was the work of Stannis Baratheon. He has hired sell-sales aplenty, and Stannis has no love of skulking crimes. Tyrion cut him off. He wields justice like a bludgeon. No, this was another hand. His gaze slid to Baelish, who only raised an amused brow. "But motive is dust now. We have a war to fight. And a king to comfort," Baelish added. "Joffrey is in hysterics. I will speak with his grace." Tyrion rubbed aching eyes. "We must present the slaying as Stannis' treachery, else the city will devour itself." Varys folded his arms. "There are some who will whisper of kinslaying. They will recall Maegor's curse. That blood spilled in Maegor's keep calls doom upon us all. Let them whisper." Tyrion slapped the table. "We will thunder. Joffrey will weep for his sweet mother, vow vengeance upon Dragonstone, and the small folk will howl for Stannis' head. As for doom, if the Bayards' chain holds and the wildfire takes their ships, doom may oblige." Sir Jacelyn grunted approval. Pycelle muttered prayers. Varys inclined his bald head, as if acknowledging an unseen partner. Littlefinger only smiled, eyes glittering like jet. The meeting dissolved into practicalities. Garrison numbers, food stores, the Gold Cloak's loyalty. Tyrion assigned Baelish to secure fresh coin from the Iron Bank, Petyr protested but mildly. Pycelle to prepare physic for the wounded. Bywater to tighten patrols along the river. Varys offered couriers swift and silent as nightingales. When the chamber emptied, Tyrion lingered. Varys waited beside him, quiet as dust. "You kept your end," Tyrion said. "Was it one of your little birds?" The eunuch shook his head. Birds sing, my lord. This was a hawk, swift and silent, never to roost again. Nice. And the hawk's name? A secret died with him. Varys met Tyrion's gaze, sympathy mingling with caution. Will you sleep at all this night? I doubt it. Someone must draft the proclamations. Leave parchment for dawn. Statues topple easier under moonlight. Tyrion almost laughed. I will try. He turned, cloak swirling, and strode from the hall. Outside, the bells had fallen silent. In their place, a thin wind keened through arrow slits, carrying the bay's briny chill. Tyrion paused upon a parapet to stare east, where faint fires dotted the horizon. Stannis was out there, sharpening his fury. Yet within these walls, a queen already lay cold. One battle at a time, he resolved. First the fleet, then the realm. Dawn greeted King's Landing with a sullen sky, clouds bruised purple like a fading sorrow. Cersei's body had been laid out in the sept of Baelor, candles guttering round her like paper crowns. Tyrion attended the vigil beside Joffrey and Tommen, both clad in white mourning cloaks. The boy king trembled, cheeks wet and blotched. Tommen clutched his brother's sleeve, eyes wide with incomprehension. High Septon Donal offered prayers for the queen's soul, beseeching the Seven for mercy upon womanly sins. Tyrion listened with half an ear, mind hammering through contingencies. Cersei's ladies would speak of tears of Lys. Her Kettleblacks would boast of avenging their mistress. The city would thirst for retribution. He must guide that thirst toward the bay. When the service ended, Tyrion knelt before Joffrey. Your Grace, Stannis stole your mother from you. Will you let him steal your throne as well? Oh, no. Joffrey's jaw clenched. I will see him dead. Then you must be strong. Show the realm a lion wears the crown. Tyrion rose, resting a small hand upon the boy's gilded pauldron. Stand with me upon the battlements when the fleet approaches. Let your people see their king is not afraid. Joffrey swallowed, eyes flicking toward the distant bells that had tolled his mother's dirge. I will stand, he whispered. I'll bind your feet if I must, Tyrion thought, but smiled instead. Good. Let us prepare. Let them see. 3 days remained until the Blackwater burned. The city moved like a wounded beast, snarling at every shadow. Kingsguard in white patrolled the streets, banners draped in black silk. Small folk left willow branches before the septii. Though Tyrion suspected half their grief was self-regard. A dead queen promised war, and war promised famine. Merchants hoarded grain, spice sellers doubled prices. Yet the chain stretched across the river now, each link thick as a man's waist. Tyrion's true monument. In the Tower of the Hand, he took counsel with Bronn, Sir Lancel, eyes haunted, freshly raised to Lord of Derry, and the remnants of the Royal Engineers. They spoke of swordy gates and scorpion angles, of wildfire casks disguised in fishing boats. And behind every plan loomed Cersei's absence, intangible yet immense. The queen's retinue dispersed. Some fled the city, some bent knee to Tyrion. A few vanished entirely. The lioness's shadow no longer prowled the corridors, but it remained beneath every torch. On the second night, Tyrion climbed to Maegor's battlements and found Varys leaning against a merlon, gazing north where the King's Road disappeared into darkness. Counting ravens? Tyrion asked. Counting hearts, Varys replied. Stannis brings iron men and cell sails, pitiless and paid. But fear cuts deeper than steel. Your chain will frighten them. Wildfire will terrify. Yet it is the death of a queen that truly weights their souls. They will taste blood in the water, but wonder what price that blood demands. Tyrion folded arms atop the stone. And what price do we demand? Surrender. An easy word, difficult thing. No. Stannis won't bend. Then he will burn. Lightning flickered far off, silvering clouds over the narrow sea. A rumble followed, a beast stirring. Tyrion thought of his father riding from the west, of Robb Stark ravaging the Riverlands, of Daenerys Targaryen across the world nursing dragon dreams. The game widened daily, and he stood upon the narrowest square. If we win, he said, we'll crown a boy, rule a realm of ashes, and pray our allies fear us more than they hate us." Varys smiled sadly. "That, my dear lord, is the song of every dynasty." The eve of battle dawned crimson, as though the sky itself spilled Lannister blood. War horns brayed along the city walls. War drums pounded within Tyrion's skull. He donned plate of beaten bronze, a crimson surcoat embroidered with a golden hand, and strapped a dagger to his hip. Not that he expected to meet any foe to toe, but a man ought to carry his own death. Atop the Mudgate ramparts, the Blackwater lay before him like a dark mirror. Across its breadth, Stannis' fleet crawled upriver, sails swelling with a favorable wind. Sunlight glanced off iron rams. Tyrion could almost see the oars rising and falling in perfect cadence, like the limbs of a single sea-born monster. Beside him, Joffrey stood rigid, pale but resolute, crown glinting dully. Bronn joked with a squad of archers. Davos Seaworth's banner flapped on the horizon. Drums beat time to a dreadful march. The city held its breath. "Loose," Tyrion commanded. 1,000 bowstrings thrummed. Arrows hissed into morning air. They fell short, plinking off shields, but no matter. This was show, not slaughter. He signaled the alchemists' barges. 30 fishing skiffs drifted from quayside, sails painted civilian white. Hidden within, casks of wildfire waited like angry gods. Moments stretched. Stannis' vanguard surged forward. A sail galley veered to intercept a skiff. Tyrion raised a green-tipped arrow, held aloft. "To the realm," he whispered. He loosed. The shaft arced, a sliver lost against the blazing sky, then struck. Green fire erupted in a blossom of emerald fury, so bright the morning dimmed. Gasps rose along the walls. Flames leapt from ship to ship, as splinters flew like shrapnel. Men screamed, flailing in waters gone to boiling glass. Wildfire clung to skin, devoured flesh and bone alike. The Blackwater itself burned. Tyrion felt the heat on his face, a kiss of dragons long dead. He forced himself to watch, to bear witness. Cersei had always loved wildfire's cruel wonder. Yet in her absence, he wielded it. The irony tasted metallic. "Forgive me, mother." He turned to Joffrey. The boy's mouth hung open, half awestruck, half terrified. Tyrion placed a steadying hand on the king's shoulder. "Your enemy's cook. Remember this sight," he said gently. "This is your wrath." But he wondered if some part of Cersei now danced upon those flames, feeding them, and whether by striking her down he had thrown open the gates to darker fires yet. By dusk, the river had consumed its slaughter. Half of Stannis' fleet lay charred hulks. Yet enough remained to ferry men ashore. Fires scorched the city piers. Smoke veiled the sky. Tyrion's chain had raised, trapping vessels against burning wreckage. Still, battle raged along King's Landing's walls, crimson and green mingling beneath banners torn and blackened. Tyrion fought not with sword, but with orders, redirecting reserves to the King's Gate, rallying pikemen where the breastwork sagged, urging trebuchets to hurl barrels of pitch. Sweat soaked his padded jerkin. Soot grimed his hair. He felt the battle like a fever, pulsing in every joint. Near sunset, word came of a breach at the Pig Gate. Tyrion rode there on a gelding that snorted at every blast. He found gold cloaks wavering as armored knights surged up from a shattered siege tower. The dwarf drew his dagger, spurred his horse before them, and shouted until his voice broke. Shamed, the men braced spears anew. Bronze archers rained shafts. Firepots tumbled, smashing against iron helms. When the enemy fell back, Tyrion sagged in his saddle, chest heaving. In that moment, he knew the city would hold. Whether Tywin or the Tyrells arrived, whether the Hound rallied or fled, Stannis could not claim King's Landing this day. A hollow victory, perhaps, but victory. As the first stars pierced smoke-choked skies, bells tolled again, this time for triumph. Their peals echoed over charred river and ruined ships, over corpses floating like burnt offerings. Tyrion listened, feeling brittle. The same bells that had rung for Cersei's death now heralded his success. A cycle complete. A debt paid. He dismounted, limped toward the Red Keep through streets lined with cheering small folk. They hailed him savior, Halfman, Lion of the Blackwater. Flower petals rained upon his helm. A child pressed a wilted rose into his hand. He stared at it, stunned by innocence. Inside the keep, torches guttered in corridors still reeking of smoke. The Iron Throne loomed empty save for shadows. And in the dark beyond, the memory of Cersei's smile waited like a viper. Tyrion closed his eyes. War is won, he told himself. Now the peace must be conquered. But peace, he suspected, would demand a sharper blade than any he had yet drawn, and the cost of kinslaying would one day come due with interest. Outside, bells tolled on, their voices bright, tireless, and cruel. Kei, Kemnidi, Diwerai, Kamrenosai. Dawn limped over the city with a limp, sallow light, and Tyrion Lannister greeted it from the small stone bench that overlooked the Maidenvault Gardens. He had not slept. Birds quarreled somewhere in the lemon trees, flinging notes sharp as broken glass. The fountains lay still, their basins half choked with fallen petals, and the scent of smoke from the Blackwater clung to every leaf as though the bay had exhaled soot into the breathing world. He watched pink streaks spider across the sky and wondered whether the sun itself felt shame for rising over so much ruin. A distant clang of iron warned him before he heard boot heels. Sir Jacelyn Bywater stalked across the flagstones, polished breastplate blotched with salt spray and gore that even boiled water could not scour out. The commander's face looked carved from driftwood. He halted, left fist thumping the seven-pointed star worn to placate the faith. Lord at hand, he rasped, voice torn by a night of shouting orders. River gate secured. Stragglers from Stannis' host drown themselves or yield. Weave cages enough for the survivors. Tyrion barely nodded. Stannis retreated to a galley with what banners he could scrape together. Our galleys pursue but wins against them. Sir Loras arrived before dawn leading Tyrell cavalry, routed the vanguard trying to rally on the river road. The boy's love of roses begins with thorns, Tyrion muttered. Any word from my father? Lord Tywin is 9 leagues off. He'll enter the city before nightfall. The small council begs your attendance in Maegor's Solar at once. Begs? Tyrion almost laughed. Councils rarely begged the hand. They summoned. But perhaps last night's green hell had taught them courtesy. Let them stew, he said. I need time for a bath and for a thought or two. Bywater's steel fingers flexed. 5 of the gold cloaks stand guard over the queen's body at the septi. Silent sisters prepare her for vigil. He hesitated. Rumor runs quicker than wildfire. Some whisper Stannis struck her down with sorcery. Some name an assassin in the pay of the Tyrells. Nabirhor. Let them whisper, Tyrion answered. Silence is cheaper for a city than truth. Tell the hill folk and fishwives what comfort they like. Bywater lingered, then cleared his throat. My lord, men speak of destiny's curse. That kings and Maegors holdfast drop like flies when blood is spilled inside the walls. They remember Maegor's kinslayings. Men remember many things, Tyrion said. But they forget the price of bread. Post double rations at the bakeries. A full belly is the surest seal upon loose lips. Then see. When the commander left, Tyrion remained unmoving, staring at a single bloom of ghost grass that had sprouted by the path. A white blade of impossible herb, brought once by some brazen merchant from Ashai. It had survived droughts, frost, and the stomping boots of guards. The sight gave him pause. Even things born in shadow find purchase here, he thought. He rose, joints aching like old doors. In the Tower of the Hand, a pair of serving boys waited with steaming cedar-infused water, and Podrick Payne stumbled in half awake, bearing a fresh doublet of black wool slashed crimson. Tyrion soaked until his skin puckered, letting sweat and grime bleed into the bath. Each time he closed his eyes, Cersei's face surfaced. Eyes glassy, smile fixed, bolt feathering her bosom. The image clung with more tenacity than the smoke of burning men. He forced it under. Later, Tahoe. The small council convened in a hush broken only by the dripping of melted candles. Grand Maester Pacel bandaged his finger, complaining of a cut he had taken opening sealed ravens. Lord Baelish lounged with boots propped upon a footstool, inspecting the blood under his nails. Varys appeared in robes of morning gray, a color that seemed to absorb light. Loras Tyrell stood at the window, fresh dust of the road dulling the sheen of his armor, and a taller shadow loomed behind him. Sir Garland, mailed in green steel and smelling of stallion sweat. Tyrion claimed the chair at the head of the table and set his goblet down louder than needed. "We will have terms," he began without greeting. "Sir Jacelyn reports the enemy fleet in flight, but pockets of sellswards still prowl the Rainwood docks. Sir Loras, you will ride south before sundown with your cavalry, encircle whatever rabble remain and offer surrender. Those who accept may keep their purses. Those who refuse—" He drew a finger across his throat. Loras bowed, eyes bright behind his helm. "The Knight of Flowers will tidy your garden, my lord." "Flowers like fertilizer," Baelish quipped softly. Tyrion ignored him. "Pycelle, ravens. One to Dragonstone offering honorable pardon to any man who lays down arms in the space of a moon. Another to Storm's End, requesting tribute shipments, now that its rightful lord attempted treason. A third to Bitterbridge. Ask Lady Tanda to dispatch grain. I will repay her dowry dreams with tariffs." "Bemses." The old maester nodded, quills already scratching. "And to High Garden?" Baelish asked. Tyrion studied him. "Lord Mace will require thanks. I imagine father will present those in person. As will Lord Tywin require an explanation." Varys murmured, voice silk over steel. "He rides through fields of victory, expecting his daughter's embrace. Instead, he shall find her corpse wrapped in linen. How shall we choreograph his grief?" Silence thickened. Outside the window bells tinkled to mark midday, but the council remained frozen. "We will give Lord Tywin truth," Tyrion said at last, voice even. "Stannis' assassin pierced our walls. Wild rumors claim a Selsail crossbowman, perhaps Lysine, perhaps Myrish. He struck the queen without warning. The king's guard pursued but lost him in the press of battle. And if your lord father digs deeper," Varys asked, "let him dig. He will find stones blackened by wildfire and the bones of strangers, and one hand who saved his grandson's throne." He leveled a stare at the eunuch. "If the realm stands, Lord Tywin may swallow a bitter seed." Baelish smiled like a minstrel hearing a new song. "Provided Lord Tywin never learns another gardener planted it. Are you volunteering for fertilizer, Petyr?" Their eyes met, a dance of daggers sheathed in laughter. Baelish looked away first, letting the jest die. Garland Tyrell cleared his throat, a sound like shifting boulders. "There remains the matter of Lady Cersei's children. Princess Myrcella sails for Dorne. Prince Tommen abides in the Red Keep. Some will question the safety of your nephew, Lord Hand." Tyrion pinched the thin flesh above his eye. "Sir Preston Greenfield retains command of Tommen's guard. And I have assigned 4 of my mountain clansmen as shadows. No one will pluck that flower. Hound-faced shadows?" Baelish teased. "Dog or clansman, they bite the same," Tyrion snapped. He pressed on. "We will hold the funeral 2 days hence. Pycelle will officiate. At sunset, the queen's barge will drift to the mouth of the Blackwater, where she will be committed to flame." "Wildfire?" Baelish asked, too lightly. Tyrion banged his goblet. "No. Oil and torch. We will not breed more whispers by gifting her to the pyromancers." He tasted acid behind his teeth. "Let's pray the wind favors the smoke." That afternoon, messengers spread like lice into the city's arteries, posting decrees beneath cracked marble lintels. Bakers scraped barrels of rye from the crown's granaries. Sellswards queued outside counting houses to trade plunder for pardon. The fortress of the faith hung its sconces in black, and across the docks Selsails burned the striped sails they once served beneath, eager to mask allegiance. Tyrion himself walked the mudgate battlements alone, save for Podrick scurrying at his heels. Below, the river breathed quietly, littered with the ribs of burned ships. Charcoal skeletons protruded from the shallows like fingers of a drowned god. Farther out, a forest of masts bristled where salvage crews tugged hulls toward disassembly. "My lord," Podrick ventured. Maester Franken asks if you still require moon tea for. The squire's voice faded at Tyrion's glower. Tell him the queen is beyond herbs. He resumed walking. Podrick, red-eared, shuffled after. Any news of Sir Osmond? He lingers at the sept. Maester Franken says the wound stinks of corruption. He may not last the morrow. Tyrion exhaled. A dead witness was both a boon and a danger. He could speak no secrets, but neither could Tyrion weigh him with bribes. If the Seven are merciful, they'll claim him quick. Podrick hesitated. Is that mercy for him or for you, my lord? Tyrion stopped. Pod's eyes darted away. The boy's question, softly spoken, cut sharper than any lord's jest. Tyrion laid a hand upon his shoulder. For the city, he lied. Now fetch parchment. We draft titles for those who bled. Podrick fled, grateful. Tyrion leaned against a crenellation, the bricks still warm from wildfire. He watched a gull wheel over flotsam, diving for some boiled fish that floated belly up. He thought of Melara Heatherspoon, the cousin lost in Casterly Rock's pool so long ago, and how Cersei's laughter had echoed down the gallery. A lion learns, he had told himself that night. But he had not known what lesson. Now perhaps he did. That lion sometimes ate their own to survive winter. He wondered whether Jaime would forgive him, or whether forgiveness mattered. In the ledger of blood the gods maintained. Tywin Lannister arrived beneath banners crimson and gold that painted the city walls with sunset. Drums thundered his approach. 10,000 Westermen marched in step, spears glinting. At their head, Lord Tywin rode atop a white courser barded in gilded mail, flanked by Sir Kevan and a wedge of household guards. Their boots tamped the dust into a red haze that hung over the streets like vengeance made visible. Tyrion awaited with the court upon the square before the gate of the gods. Joffrey stood ramrod straight upon a raised dais, Tommen beside him, clutching a lion cub carved of oak. Loras Tyrell and Barristan Selmy, recalled hastily from the Kingsguard exile. Sir Preston had died in the night after all, formed the honor line. Small folk pressed the barricades, chanting Casterly Rock and Blackwater's Bane, and other slogans minted that morning by clever tongues. Tywin dismounted, face unreadable. He knelt first to the king, a gesture of fealty publicly owed. Joffrey offered a token crown of laurel twined with onyx. Tywin accepted, bowed again, and rose. Then his pale green eyes fixed on Tyrion like twin lanterns in fog. "Father," Tyrion greeted, inclining his head. "My son," Tywin replied without warmth. "Deke." "In council, perhaps," Tyrion said, hoping the crowd's roar masked urgency. Tywin's gaze flicked to Joffrey, to the Tyrell brothers, to the charred rigging of ships visible above rooftops. He nodded. "In council." Before they withdrew, Paisel read a proclamation of victory. As the crowd cheered, Tywin's squire led the white courser away, and Tyrion spied fresh dents in the barding. Proof of real battle marched from the west. He almost smiled. At least father fought this time, not merely accounted. Inside the Red Keep's echoing halls the council chamber awaited, hung with incense to smother the stench of blood. Tywin seated himself at the head before any could gesture. Tyrion claimed the next chair. The space beyond remained conspicuously empty, Cersei's seat removed, but not forgotten. Varys and Baelish took positions like mismatched bookends. Sir Kevan hovered behind his brother, hands clasped. Tywin spoke first. "I am told victory owes itself to 3 things: wildfire, a chain, and the reckless courage of my dwarf son." His tone gave away nothing. "Explain." Tyrion outlined the strategy: procurement of wildfire from Wisdom Halloning, blacksmiths flogged to forge the harbor chain, coordination with the gold cloaks and the clansmen. He noted the Tyrell charge but downplayed it. Every sentence hewed to calm precision, like a scribe scratching into granite. Passion would not serve before his father. He did not mention Varys Hawk, nor a bolt buried in a queen's chest. Tywin listened, fingers steepled. When Tyrion finished, a long silence fell. At last Lord Tywin said, "You played dice with the city, but the throw proved sound. I commend your result, if not your method." "Niraya Ebutani." Tyrion's throat bobbed. That may be the most praise you'll ever gain, he told himself. Then Tywin continued. Now speak of Cersei. The words seemed to darken the torches. Tyrion chose each syllable. There was chaos within the keep as the battle reached its height. Ships burning, bells clanging, small folk rioting in Flea Bottom. Amid the tumult, an assassin reached the Queen's solar. Sir Osmond Kettleblack engaged him but fell wounded. A single crossbow quarrel ended her grace's life. Tywin's hard mouth did not even twitch. Evidence. The assassin escaped. One bolt from a Myrish device, quarrel tipped with iron, standard mercenary stock. Who sent him? Stannis Denis' involvement, of course. Convenient. Tywin folded his hands. And your proof that Stannis denies? A raven captured on the field. His signature. Tyrion offered a sealed parchment. Tywin did not open it. Lord Baelish cleared his throat. It is wise for the crown to claim Stannis' guilt. The realm expects it. Varys inclined his bald head. Wise, yes. Yet we should anticipate rumor. Whispers already question the timing. One might wonder who benefits most from the Queen's death. Tywin's stare bored into Tyrion. Indeed. Tyrion met that stare without blinking. The realm benefits. Cersei would have turned the city itself into a pyre. She had casks of wildfire hidden below the Tower of the Hand, ready to spark at first breach. Tywin's eyes narrowed. Do you possess proof of such claims? In time, Tyrion said. Search the vaults. You will find the dragon's bile. He paused. I moved 2 kegs to the river to lure Stannis' ships. The rest remained untouched. Now, Sire. Tywin turned to Sir Kevan. Arrange a sweep. If it is so, we must secure every flask. Sir Kevan bowed. Tyrion felt his heartbeat slow. Stone cracks along its weakest vein, he remembered reading once. Maybe truth, even partial truth, would save him more surely than lies. Still, Tywin's eyes returned. Your strategy preserved the Iron Throne, he conceded. But a realm cannot be ruled by fire and trickery alone. Our alliances must be mended now, not severed further. He looked to the Tyrell brothers. Highgarden's loyalty shall be rewarded. I would see Margaery wed to Joffrey within the moon. Anin? Loras half smiled. Garland exhaled relief. Baelish's lips pursed, calculating. But Tywin went on. A boy king needs guidance. With his mother gone, we must appoint a queen regent. The pause left cold sweat on Tyrion's spine. Tywin's gaze swept the table. Lady Sansa Stark remains betrothed to Joffrey. The Northern Alliance is weak, but we may leverage it still. He turned to Varys. Prepare diplomatic feelers toward the Vale. Lord Baelish will assist. His familiarity with Lysa Arryn shall prove useful. Tyrion braced. If a regent must be named, his father would never choose him, yet the thought still stung as the lash of shame. Tywin finished. Until his grace reaches majority, I assume the duties of protector of the realm. Lord Tyrion remains hand, charged with reconstruction and revenue. Lord Baelish will head treasury, Maester Pycelle the council of healers. Varys, whatever you reputedly do. The eunuch wept humble laughter. And just like that, the city's new order crystallized. Tywin rose with a rustle of crimson cloak. I will see my daughter's body. His voice held iron tears. He swept out, Sir Kevan shadowing. The chamber exhaled as one. Tyrion slumped in his chair. Baelish flicked imaginary dust from his sleeve. Congratulations, Lord Hand, he said, tone chipper. You gambled our heads upon the tide and came up dragons. Varys offered a small, oblique smile. And every dragon's birth demands blood. Tyrion could not argue. He felt paradoxically weightless, as though stripped of something essential. Anger? Guilt? Purpose? He was unsure. Night again. The keep's corridors dozed in a hush broken only by the patrol ticks of spears against flagstones. Tyrion dismissed Podrick and walked alone until torches thinned and hallways narrowed. He descended spiral stairs lit by motes that drifted like dying stars, reaching a door banded in black iron. He slid the bolt. The smallest chamber beyond had served once as a records vault. Dust veils hung from beams, and a single lantern guttered upon a crate. Upon that crate sat Shay, legs crossed beneath her crimson gown, brown eyes following him like doves in still air. "My giant," she whispered. "You come late." He shut the door and leaned back, letting the hush settle. Her presence softened the world, yet it also sharpened its edges. Danger lived in every caress now that his sister lay cold. Or perhaps danger had always lived, and only Cersei's shadow had masked it. He approached, cupped her chin. "I come weary. Don't ask what weight I carry. It will break the box if unspoken. Then speak of lighter things." She guided him to sit. He did, pulling her onto his lap. Her fingers traced the scar where Mandon Moore's blade had kissed his brow at the Blackwater's edge. "You save them all," she said. "They will build statues." "I prefer coins," he managed. She laughed softly. "Coins melt when fire comes. Statues stand." Tyrion thought of bronze likenesses toppled in old Valyria. "Statues weep no tears for the hands that sculpt them," he said. But he let her unlace his doublet, letting fabric spill. Her warmth pressed against his, and for a time, the world shrank to the scent of sandalwood and sweat, to the hush of breath in a room too small for politics. Afterward, they lay on the crate beside the lantern. Shay propped herself on an elbow. "Will they make you king, my giant?" "7 gods forbid," he said. "I stand better at the elbow of kings than upon their chairs." She traced circles on his chest. "Then they will keep you close. And if they learn about me," cold fear glinted. "They won't," he promised. His mind conjured Varys warnings, Littlefinger's leers, Cersei's smirk. Cersei could no longer harm Shay. But Tywin, perhaps worse. He pulled her close. "When winter ends, I will build you a manse by the river. You'll sail little swan boats. No one will know my name." Her smile trembled. "I will know." She rested cheek to his heart. Tyrion stared at the ceiling beams, counting breaths, until the lantern sputtered to darkness. In that darkness he whispered an oath into her hair. Soft words promising seas and safety that he feared he could not keep. Outside, the city shifted like a beast, still bleeding, but resolved to live. The day of Cersei's funeral dawned with banners heavy under drizzle. The royal barge, once bright with paints, had been repainted black and gold. 8 silent sisters in gray, hooded cloaks lined the deck, each bearing a torch, sprouting blue flame. The queen's body lay upon a bier draped in cloth of gold, hands folded, eyes sewn shut, lips painted the red of ripe cherries. No hint of bolt marred her gown. Tailor's needle had hidden the wound. Crowds massed along the riverbanks. Some mourned from sincerity, others from spectacle. The High Septon stood at the prow, chanting in an older dialect of the faith, words washing over the hush. On the dock stood Joffrey, Tywin, Tommen, and all the court. Tyrion watched from a modest vantage on the pier beside Varys. He felt the chill drizzle soak through his cloak, mingle with sweat, and yet he did not shiver. The High Septon completed his prayer, and at Tywin's nod 8 sisters pressed torches to oil-soaked rope. Flames licked. The barge drifted, oars shipped, the current caught its hull. As distance widened, the fire spread up the ropes, dancing along tarred seams, crawling toward the bier. Tyrion's pulse matched the river's ripple. The flames reached Cersei's feet. Then her skirt, flaring gold and greenish in damp wind. Smoke billowed as the oil ignited. The barge mast groaned, ablaze. The crowd gasped. In that orange glare, Tyrion fancied Cersei's lips moved. He knew it an illusion. Heat tremors in the air. But his breath caught. He heard her voice again. "When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die." She had died, yet somewhere amid the roar of fire, he suspected she laughed still, mocking them all. The barge drifted under the shadow of the great chain, charred links sagging above. Wildfire residue ignited along a strand, sparking green. The crowd stepped back in fear, yet the flames sputtered and died. The day's rain quenched them. The barge slid on, leaving a trail of black ribbon smoke, until the bay swallowed it. Ship, queen, fire, and past. When only ash remained on the water's sheen, Tywin turned, cloak heavy with rain, and strode away. Varys exhaled. The city's heart is cauterized. Tyrion watched ripples where the barge had vanished. Cut, flesh, scars, he said. But deeper wounds fester. Then we must leech them, Varys replied, before they poison the blood. Tyrion's hands clenched inside gloves. He saw ahead a maze of new perils. Tyrell ambitions blooming like nightshade. Tywin's suspicion lurking, Stannis licking wounds upon Dragonstone. Davos Seaworth swearing vengeance. Doran stirring with Myrcella as pawn. Far away a silver-haired girl birthing dragons across the narrow sea. And in the north, Robb Stark hungering for retribution. All while snow crept from the wall like a silent army gathering. He inhaled the smell of burnt cedar and salt. Then sharpen your leeches, Lord Varys, he said, voice iron. The eunuch bowed. They are ever hungry. That evening, Tywin summoned Tyrion alone to the solar atop the Tower of the Hand. Tapers burned, their waxy tears pooling upon a map of Westeros pinned beneath glass. Tywin stood at the window, back straight as a spear, hands clasped. He did not turn when Tyrion entered. Your chains saved the city, Tywin began. Yet it shut the harbor and strangled our fleet. Trade suffers. We must rebuild docks, forge anchors, you will oversee. Tyrion dipped his head. As you command. Second, the crown's debt to the Iron Bank surpasses 5 million dragons. Baelish claims tariffs will cover interest. I remain unconvinced. You will draft new levies on silk, myrrh, and arbor wine. Namitayan. Dithor. A page's duties, but Tyrion nodded. Very good. Tywin's shoulders squared. Third, the matter of the assassin. I will not rest until his head adorns the gates. Your steward claims no trace. You will double the bounty. 50,000 dragons. 50,000, Tyrion echoed. Tywin finally faced him, eyes glacial. And if rumor persists accusing Lannister of Lannister, the words fell like anvils. I will scour it with steel. Treason thrives in the dark. Sunlight kills it. Do you understand? Din. Yes, father. His tongue felt wood. Tywin studied him as though he were a ledger entry. You were born beneath the taste of rumor. Dwarfs beget whispers. I defended you once from such poison. Remember? A strange dance of gratitude and resentment twined in Tyrion's chest. I remember. Tywin waved a dismissive hand. Go. The realm waits. Tyrion turned, pulse hammering, but Tywin spoke again. Tyrion. He halted. A lion does not flinch from blood, but neither does he revel. Tywin's voice softened to leather. Your sister tested us all. Perhaps the gods judged her. Yet beware their judgment on those who hasten it. Tyrion inclined his head once more, lest words betray him. He left, feeling the weight of that unspoken accusation following like a shadow that stretched longer than any corridor lamp. Weeks passed. Market stalls reopened. Scavengers dredged the bay for copper nails and iron spikes. Ragpickers sold scorched armor plaques from Stannis men as luck charms. The faith declared a fast and then a feast. Bards composed stanzas praising King Joffrey's courage, though many quietly inserted Tyrion's name. Tyrell knights jousted on the tourney field. Myrcella's Drummond neared Sunspear. Letters from Dragonstone hinted Stannis brooded behind basalt walls, gathering red priests and new cell sails. One dawn Podrick shook Tyrion awake with news. Sir Osmond had died in fever but confessed at final breath that the assassin spoke with a Dornish accent. Tyrion paid the boy a silver stag and told him to forget that rumor. Best keep Dorne curious rather than accused. Inwardly, he thanked whichever of various lies had been planted in the dying knight's ear. He busied himself with dock repair, coin wrangling, and the crown's new festival. A week of triumph pageants culminating in Joffrey's betrothal announcement to Margaery. Rose petals rained from windows, jesters paraded in masks. Small folk cheered for pies rather than bread at last. And still, sometimes, Tyrion walked the battlements alone at night and listened. The city's sounds had changed. Fewer screams, more laughter, Yet beneath it all he felt vibration, like a plucked string held too taut. Tension. In every taverner's mead hall men argued whether wildfire or horse charge had saved them. Some claimed the drowned gods of the Iron Islands stirred the bay's tide. Others whispered of a red comet glimpsed through smoke. In the Tower of the Hand he penned letters. To Davos Seaworth offering ransom for noble prisoners, to Lady Olenna Tyrell requesting details of Margaery's dowry, to Maester Aemon at the wall seeking confirmation of wildling movements. Each raven took a piece of his mind north, south, east, east. Late one smoldering dusk, as bells rang compline across the septs, Tyrion found himself again before the ghostgrass blade in the Maidenwald Gardens. He crouched, touched its pale stalk. It seemed unchanged, though he now saw tiny seeds budding along its length, life feeding upon the soil of war. Footsteps crunched gravel behind him. Varys appeared, robes violet, like twilight. Hands folded. A rare herb, he observed. They say ghosts wander where it grows. Then we share company with many ghosts, Tyrion said. Varys inclined his head. I bring word. A beggar found north of the Blackwater claims he saw a sell sail rowing alone the night the queen died. His craft bore a firefly lantern trick only Mirish pirates use on moonless seas. He sells this secret for protection. Nah. Pay him, Tyrion said. Then send him to the kitchens to peel leeks until the day he forgets his own name. As you wish. Varys studied the grass. Ghosts fade if no tongue remembers them. Tyrion plucked the blade and twirled it. Some ghosts refuse the peace of oblivion. True. And some haunt so fiercely they shape the living. Dadman? Tyrion tucked the blade into his sleeve. Have you grown a conscience, Spider? Merely a memory. Varys' gaze drifted toward the river. Do you sleep easier, now that the queen's flame is quenched? No, Tyrion admitted. But I wake faster. Varys half smiled. Then may your waking keep the realm from dreams of fire. He bowed and withdrew, leaving Tyrion alone with evening's hush. Tyrion looked toward the distant harbor, where cranes raised new piers. Where the chain links lay coiled, ready should war return. Where ashes drifted still, unseen, beneath the water's skin. He breathed brine and wood smoke, and the faintest perfume of roses carried from tourney fields beyond the walls. In his sleeve the ghost grass prickled his wrist, a reminder that things sown in shadow might yet bloom in light. The city lived in all its terrible grace. And so, for the moment, did he. He turned toward the keep, toward duties that multiplied like hydra heads. 5 bells tolled across the rooftops, summoning lamps to windows. Tyrion squared his shoulders and stepped forward, feeling at once older and somehow freed. The weight remained. Night gathered behind him, but ahead, pale lanterns pooled golden across the courtyard stones. He followed their scattered path toward whatever dawn would come. Lion, fox, Hoffman, Hand, and the river wind trailed after, carrying ashes and hope in equal measure. The rains lingered after Cersei's pyre, soft but relentless, pounding dust to mud along the King's Road and washing the stench of wildfire from King's Landing's scarred stones. In the damp hush came a lull, neither peace nor war. An uneasy breathing space where ravens outnumbered merchants and every tavern tale birthed 100 suspicions. To the small folk, it was the moon of ashes. To the scholars who would later set quill to parchment, it marked the first flicker of a new balance, one born not of triumph, but of vacancy, for a queen's shadow was an emptiness felt long after she burned. Tyrion learned to measure that emptiness by echoes. In Maegor's Holdfast, female laughter no longer floated through silk-draped corridors. The privy chambermaids drifted silent and gray. The perfume of myrrh and lemon that once followed Cersei like a herald now clung only to cloth packed for burial. Yet matters of state pressed harder than ghosts. Each dawn a clerk delivered sheaves of petitions requiring seals. Restorations for the Fishmongers' Guild, reparations for docks blown apart, writs of indenture for Tyrell engineers imported from Bitterbridge, and a dozen claims from noble houses that had lost kin beneath green fire. Tyrion rose before sunrise and worked until the bells of Vespers, quill nib leaving blots shaped like bats across parchment. Shay would arrive at dusk to ply fingers across knots in his shoulders, but often he fell asleep at the desk and woke past midnight, ink dry upon his cheek. On one such night he roused to find Varys seated opposite, candlelight slipping over the eunuch's polished head. "What? You keep hours fit for ghouls," Tyrion rasped, straightening parchment. "One must pace beneath the moon to sift the city's dreams," Varys said. He gestured toward the papers. "I bring tidings that may lighten your load, or double it. Spit them out before dawn spoils." Varys produced a neat scroll of pale calfskin. "A raven from Sunspear. Prince Doran offers condolences on the Queen's death and reaffirms Princess Myrcella's safety. He requests, with intense courtesy, an audience for his son, Prince Trystane, to discuss restitution." Tyrion scanned the lines. Restitution. A Dornish word for hostages, hostages for corpses. "They'll demand the Mountain's head, or an apology wrought in gold." "The Mountain's head grows elusive," Varys murmured. "Your father's need of Sir Gregor outweighs diplomatic niceties, I fear." "Then we trade gold." Tyrion tossed the scroll. "Send Prince Trystane my warmest invitation, and remind him how fine the Arbor vintages taste at court." He rubbed eyes gritty as sand. "If Dorn must gnaw a bone, best make it one of silver." Varys dipped his chin. "Another matter. Sellswords captured on the river report red priests aboard Stannis' flagship preaching night-long sermons. They speak of a prophecy. King's blood and a sword aflame." Tyrion barked a laugh. "King's blood? Joffrey bleeds wine and spite, but not for Stannis. Sepinol. Yet Gendry Waters survives in the city's smithies, and Edric Storm hides in some corner of Storm's End, if rumor rings true." Varys rolled the scroll shut. "Prophecy is a dagger that cuts both holder and target. Best sheath it with caution. Fine words from a man who shaves secrets as others shear sheep." Tyrion shook his head. "If Stannis wants King's blood, he'll cross more rivers than the Blackwater and drown himself before reaching a throne." "Let us hope the Drown God claims him quickly," Varys said, rising. "Sleep, my lord. The morrow brings petitions from cobblers. Their leather stocks burned away, and bare feet breed discontent. Thou Maester Owl." Alone again, Tyrion poured stale wine and studied dying candle wicks. He wondered if a dagger of prophecy had sliced Cersei's throat before crossbow bolts ever flew. If some god, tired of her venom, plucked him as instrument. The thought left a hollow thrill of dread. So he drank until doubts blurred. The first snow flurry drifted upon the tail of the moon of ashes, tiny white motes melting on rooftops. It never settled, but the omen sufficed. Winter approached. In the Red Keep's highest solar, Maester Franken conducted a council of harvest tallies. Sir Axel Florent, pardoned turncloak, hunched at the table, muttering of grain rot. Sir Garland offered wagon loads from the Reach. Tyrion studied ledgers, calculating how far a starving population could be stretched on illusions of plenty. At midday, a page burst in, cheeks aflame. "Sir Jaime Lannister rides through the Lion Gate." Silence crushed the chamber, followed by a scrape of chairs and a rustle of silk as courtiers hurried to dress their faces for reunion. Some with pleasure, some with worry. Tyrion closed the ledger on his thumb, as though he might still its racing pulse. He found Jaime in the Queen's ballroom, the same hall where Cersei had died. His brother stood at center among a throng of guards, armor travel-stained, golden hair tied back roughly. Gray flecks peppered beard stubble. Etched lines bracketed his mouth. Marks of captivity no song would ever praise. At his side dangled a plain sword in a plain scabbard. "Tyrion," Jaime's voice cracked like ice. "You look older. You look alive," Tyrion replied, stepping forward. He shoulder-bumped Jaime, awkward but fierce. "My escort claims I owe thanks to a dwarfish warlock who burned a river." Jaime grinned through weariness. "My thanks. Keep them. They won't buy bread here." Tyrion drew aside. "Father awaits. I suggest you choose words sharper than that sword." Jaime's smile withered. He knows. He knows you were traded for Stark prisoners. He knows Cersei is dead. He knows I rule the dusk while he rules the dawn. Tyrion's gaze flicked to the hall's high windows. He does not yet know whether you blame me. Do I? Tyrion swallowed acid. I orchestrated pieces, yes. But the bolt found its mark by other hands. Thou. That is not an answer. Jaime's eyes glittered, wildfire to Tyrion's candle. Did you order Cersei slain? No. The word left like stone. But I prayed for a path without her, and followed it when opening appeared. Jaime stared long, then sighed. You play Savas with fate. If father learns you toppled his queen and heir, he'll carve your tongue. Let him carve, Tyrion muttered. A tongue cut weighs less on the scales of justice than a city burned. Jaime rubbed his forehead, grime flaking. Where is Joffrey? Practicing archery with Margaery's smiles plastered across the butts. He hits the hearts every time, of straw. Tyrion stepped closer. We need you, Jaime. The Kingsguard stands a shell. One white cloak half mad with grief, another traitor slain, a third still nursing wounds. The realm needs its sword of gold. And the realm's imp to hold the hilt, Jaime said. Very well, let us face father. They moved through passages where torchlight-limned suits of Lannister-forged steel. Servants bowed low. Some glared. Many whispered of incest twins parted by cellars of war and now reunited in halls of ash. Jaime kept chin high, strides long, but Tyrion saw tremors at his shoulders. Memories he would not share. Inside Tywin Solar, the Lord sat behind a table hewn of weirwood, letters stacked like walls. Kevan stood near the hearth. A hush settled like dust on velvet. Tywin's gaze swept Jaime first, then Tyrion, cold as armor at dawn. My son returns, Tywin said. Alive with both hands. A blessing unexpected. Jaime dipped head. I was traded for the young wolf's bannerman. Little ode to blessings. Robb Stark buys time, not victory, Tywin replied. He folded a parchment. You will resume service in the Kingsguard immediately. Sir Balon Swan will relinquish the Lord Commander's cloak. Jaime opened mouth. Tywin raised a hand. In exchange, you will wed. The Kingslayer needs heirs legitimate. Shock flickered. Jaime's throat worked. The Kingsguard swears no wife, no lands, no fathering of children. Tywin stared drilled. Vows can be dispensed by royal decree. Joffrey is pliable to suggestion. Munstone. Tyrion felt heat bloom behind his eyes. Father sets traps of mercy. He spoke. A son cannot serve two masters, father. Break Jaime's white cloak, and our enemies parade moral rot. Better rot than extinction, Tywin snapped. House Lannister's legacy hangs by frayed thread. With Cersei gone, her children remain. One abomination steeped in cruelty. One gentle but fragile. One exiled to Dorne. I will not entrust the Rock's future to Joffrey's whims. Jaime's blood must breed fresh lions. Jaime's jaw tightened. I will not wed a stranger while my oath stands. Then renounce the oath. Silence boomed. Tyrion sensed cracks widen in the floor where none existed. If I refuse? Jaime asked. Tywin rose. Then you choose vanity over duty, and I will disown you. The Westerlands will know another lord, a cousin more faithful. You may keep your white cloak and live coinless within it. A terrible calm fell over Jaime's features. He inclined head. I will think on your proposal. Do so swiftly, Tywin said. We march on River Run when the snows settle. A Lord Commander married to a Frey niece would ease that siege. Then Tyrion flinched. Jaime turned, brushing past him. Tywin's voice caught Tyrion as he followed. Remain, Lord Tywin commanded. Kevan excused himself. The door thudded shut, the chamber shrank. Father, Tyrion began. Tywin unsheathed a dagger of Valyrian steel, bright as winter stars, and used it to slice a wax seal. You set wildfire free without my leave. You lead goatskin warriors through my streets, and now rumor binds you to your sister's death. He set the blade flat on parchment. Speak plainly. Did you command the bolt? No. The simple truth felt frail. I schemed to restrain her, yes, to neutralize Wildfire's stores. But I never ordered her death. Tywin studied him until Tyrion wondered if the old lion had learned to taste deceit by scent alone. At last he placed Seal to one side. If evidence surfaces of your involvement, I will lash you to the King's Road gate and let the small folk decide your guilt. They have short memories but long knives. So you have said, Tyrion whispered. What of my office? Hold it. For now. Tywin's voice chilled. But waste no more coin on whores. Your mistress whispers in laundries. Remove her. Tyrion's breath went cold. You watch her. I watch everything. Do not force my hand. Send the girl away, across the narrow sea if needed. I will furnish passage, discreet. The dagger tapped the table. Family is all. Tyrion bowed with stiffness of chilled iron. He withdrew before bile rose. Shay listened in resigned silence, while Tyrion explained Tywin's ultimatum on a balcony overlooking Blackwater's still waters. Night had fallen. The city's lanterns mirrored on the bay, bright wounds flickering across dark flesh. She hugged herself against wind. I will not leave you, she said. If you remain, father may kill you, or worse. Tyrion pressed palms to the stone rail. I can smuggle you to Pentos, a city of spice and silk. I know Pentos. I know the false safety of ships. You think gold prisons softer than stones, but cages remain cages. She reached, laid hand on his cheek. I stay. Tyrion's throat tightened. I have sacrificed too much already. Must I lose you as well? You do not lose me. You hide me from a lion who stalks by day. At night, I come to you and we roar in turn. She smiled sadly. Send me across the city as a washerwoman to Lord Baelish's brothel. No lion searches there. He covered her hand with his. Brothel walls are thin. Spies crawl like silverfish. Let them crawl. They find tedium, not treachery. She rose on toes, kissed his forehead. We survive together. That is our vow. Tyrion could deny her nothing. Yet dread pooled cold in gut. He watched lights shiver on water. Somewhere beyond, the burned skeleton of Stannis' great ship still jutted above shallows, a tomb to those who would challenge the capital. But inside the keep, doom sharpened knives on hearthstones. Winter's advance slowed campaigns. Lannister outriders skirmished with Robb Stark's scouts along the Red Fork. Tywin's host camped near Harrenhal, forging siege engines beneath flurries. Jaime rode south to bar the Stormlands from reinforcements, reluctant but obedient. Tyrion remained in King's Landing, steward of hunger and rumor. During the quiet, he visited the city's guild halls, forging alliances unglamorous but vital. A day among potters coaxed promises to craft amphorae for Reach grain. An evening with tanners secured leather for new watch cloaks. Midnight found him in the alchemist's guild, inventorying sealed jars glimmering sickly green. Every oath of service bound with coin or threat, every ledger a mirror of fragile order. One misty afternoon, he stole a moment for himself, atop the tower dubbed the Maiden's Crown, whose roof gave view of river, sea, and city. He carried a wineskin and a single parchment, a letter from Sansa Stark, addressed to no one and found by Podrick among old records. Its ink smeared by tears described fear of court, cruelty of Joffrey, longing for Winterfell snows. Tyrion read it twice, then slowly folded it. Footsteps scraped. Turning, he saw Sansa herself, cloak of dove-gray fur drawn tight. She started at sight of him, then curtsied. "Your Grace," Tyrion said gently. "A fine view. It reminds me of home." The quiet before a storm. Her eyes flicked to the wineskin. "I hope I am not intruding." "Not at all." He offered wine. She refused. "Does Joffrey treat you better of late?" Her throat bobbed. "He is queenless now. Rage has no mother to soothe it." She touched the parapet. "I am to wed him still?" Plans shift as ice flows. The Tyrell girl smiles clouds away. He hesitated. "There may yet be a path home for you." Sansa's gaze sharpened. "Home atop a pike?" I know my father died seeking paths. She bit lip. Forgive me. I speak bitterness. You speak truth, Tyrion said. Do not apologize for honesty. It is rarer than Valyrian steel here. He handed her the folded letter. Words from a girl trapped in a lattice of lies. She opened it, recognition widening eyes. Tears welled but did not fall. I wrote this when Queen Cersei promised me dresses of ivory and Myrcella braided my hair with gold ribbons. I thought I was loved. You were a pawn, Tyrion said softly. Yet pawns can slay kings if they cross the board. Her gaze burned sudden fierce. She bowed swiftly and left. Tyrion watched her go, wondering whether he had set another fire alight, and whether the city could endure limitless sparks. By first new moon after solstice, whispers of purple wedding reached King's Landing, tales of Tyrell silk shipments, of doves bred for pageantry, of gifts carved from Summer Isle's hardwood. Tyrion attended a design council where Lady Olenna Tyrell herself skewered every plan, her barbed tongue sparring with Pycelle's droning until the maester sputtered. Tyrion often found himself laughing behind a hand. Yet as festivities grew, so did tensions. Ironborn raiders struck the Shield Islands. Stannis Red priests lit bonfires, praising Arlor, and a merchant ship arrived from Bravos, carrying plague-black bodies. In that stew of peril, Tywin announced a betrothal feast preceding spring, and he named Tyrion, over Tyrion's ferocious protest, Master of Revels. You commanded wildfire, Tywin said. Do not flinch from fireworks. So Tyrion planned a feast fit for demons. Courses of swans stuffed with dates, musicians from Volantis, a joust by torchlight. He sought distraction in spectacle, but tasks wound around him like chain links. Each night he collapsed in Shay's arms, whispering fears into her hair. She whispered courage back, and for hours they forgot courts and crowns, until dawn's call. One dawn found him alone, Shah delayed, and he walked riverbank where salvage crews dredged an anchor twisted by fire. Soot-gloved men cursed, hauling charred timbers. Among them, a tall youth hammered bronze nails into a repaired fishing hull. He paused to wipe brow, revealing eyes bright blue beneath ash. Tyrion recognized him from Varys whispers. Gendry Waters, a smith once of the Street of Steel, rumored bastard of Baratheon blood. On impulse, Tyrion approached. You hammer straight for a boy raised on crooked anvils. Gendry shrugged. Straight iron yields strong blades. Yeoman's wisdom. What if I offered you a forge within the keep? Gold, shelter, ribs of pork, not nails in river mud. I know how gold shackles weigh, Gendry said, bending to his work. Tyrion studied him. A flicker of prophecy stirred. King's blood. If Stannis sought such blood, perhaps safer beneath watch of the hand than wandering. Consider the offer, he said, dropping the silver stag onto plank. The city's fires forge both steel and men. Gendry said nothing. Tyrion walked on, pulse troubled. Each decision now seemed to echo across chasms he could neither see nor chart. Midwinter winds carried news that Robb Stark had vanished from the Twins after sealing peace with Lord Frey through marriage. Some said he marched west again. Others whispered he bled from a wound of love. Tywin smiled thinly, reading the Raven. Wedding bedding unmans wolves, he said, then turned to siege maps. Yet more ominous was word from the wall. Wildlings amassing, white-sided, ravens refusing to fly. Tyrion remembered cold nights atop the wall with Jon Snow. Remembered promises of resources. He fetched parchment, wrote to Maester Aemon pledging dragonglass spears and casks of pitch. Whether Tywin would honor it remained uncertain, but Tyrion sealed the letter with gold wax and lion imprint, trusting that symbol still held weight. As the purple wedding's eve approached, goldsmiths engraved chalices, cooks horrified the wonders made flesh with rainbow sauces, and jesters rehearsed dwarfish tilts atop hogs, an act Tyrion loathed yet suspected Joffrey would adore. Tywin demanded each detail gilded. Lady Olenna demanded each cost halved. Tyrion juggled between them until even his dreams jangled like coin. One afternoon, he slipped away into the crypt beneath Baelor's sept, searching stillness. Candles flickered among marble kings, Dust motes danced. At a niche near the rear lay Cersei's cenotaph. No body, for ashes had joined sea, but a stone effigy carved fair and placid, hands folded upon alabaster abdomen. Tyrion stood before it, bottled rage uncorking. "I never hated you," he whispered. "I hated the fear you sowed, the scorn you sowed, the poison you poured on every tender root." The statue's calm face offered silence. He clenched fists. "Perhaps I did kill you if desire counts. If so, may the gods weigh that sin against every life your wildfire would have claimed." A voice behind startled him. "The gods weigh little. Men do the counting." "None." He turned to find Jaime leaning against a pillar, white cloak draped. "Spying on confessions? Seeking my sister. I have only stone." Jaime approached the tomb. "Father sent ravens to every sculptor, demanding her likeness gentle as a maiden. She would despise it." He touched the stone hair. "You were right, Tyrion. She lost herself in flames before ever your assassin's quarrel flew." Tyrion shivered at the word. Jaime's tone held no accusation, only weary finality. "Will you wed?" Tyrion asked. "If I must." Jaime's gaze stayed on the effigy. "I once vowed to serve a mad king. Perhaps a Frey girl proves kinder. Most anyone proves kinder than Eris. Or Cersei." Jaime stepped back. "I buried a part of me with her. But another part rises, one I don't yet know." He faced Tyrion. "Guard yourself, brother. Father's eye settles upon your throne of ink. He admires utility, until it fractures decorum. And you?" "I admire survival." Jaime's smile wavered. "Write me a path that spares us both." Late that night as Tyrion wandered barracks inspecting replacement blades, Bronn's arrival parted guards like wolves scattering hens. The sellsword captain stank of ale and sweat, eyes bright. "Got word?" Bronn said. "A minstrel bragged in the hook he ferried a Myrish marksman out on a skiff the night your sister died. Says the bowman paid in rubies, stamped with a stag, Baratheon mint." "Stag rubies," Tyrion repeated, heart quickening. "Could be Varys planting tails. Or Baelish pruning debts. Could be true." Bronn shrugged. "Want the minstrel. Alive. And silent." Tyrion weighed. "Pay him 50 silver stags and send him west to Duskendale with a letter of marque. To entertain garrison. Let him vanish into laughter." "Nah. Mercy or tidy?" Bronn asked. "Tidy." Tyrion exhaled. "I would drown rumor, not feed it." 3 days before wedding, Tywin convened final rehearsal in throne room. Tapestries fresh-dyed crimson glowed against candlelight. Musicians practiced madrigals. Servants chalked floor for tables in a twisting lion maze. Tyrion stood beside Tywin, offering suggestions on wine flow. Then Sir Meryn Trant approached, bearing a letter sealed in dark wax. Tywin opened, scanned, passed to Tyrion. It read in angular Bravosi script. "The Iron Bank calls due the crown's debt. A delegation arrived, seeking audience." Tywin's nostrils flared. "They choose the hour well, while we lavish gold on feasts." He folded. "You shall meet them hand. Promise interest afloat. And principle." "What of it?" Tywin said. "Wars win credit, peace repays." Yet his eyes betrayed calculation. Another front, intangible but fierce. Tyrion pocketed letter, heart sinking. Evening found Tyrion on the outer battlements where ocean wind ripped at torch flames. Shay emerged from shadows, hood low. "Your message. Urgent." He pulled her into Embraken behind a merlin. "Father may act. Oe. We must move you. Tonight." "Meisenhaber." She stiffened. "I said I stay. I will place you in the kitchens as scullion. I was born a scullion." She shoved free. "You promise silks, then offer scraps. This is not pride." Tyrion gripped her wrists. "It is life or death. I lived death when sellswords took my village," she hissed. "I fear no lion with perfumed mane." Footsteps approached. She melted into shadows. Podrick appeared, base pale. "My lord." "Maester Franken begs you." Prince Tommen fevered. "He calls for his mother." Tyrion closed eyes. Tell him to brew willow bark and honey. The queen is beyond him. Podrick ran. Shay stepped from dark, sorrow softening anger. I will leave after the feast, she whispered. One last night. Then ship me to Pentos if still you must. Tyrion exhaled. One last night. They parted. Above, moonlight silvered the chain still coiled across Bay Mouth. He wondered if it too awaited one last night before unleashing doom. The morning before feast, delegation from Iron Bank arrived in gray galleys, banners plain, intent severe. Tyrion welcomed them to a private chamber. Their leader, Tycho Nestoris, spoke in clipped tones. The crown of Westeros owes 90 tons of gold, plus interest compounded across 3 campaigns. Repayment rests overdue. Tyrion poured wine for them, offered olive logs for hearth. Our war nears closure. Response will follow victory. Victory, Tycho repeated. We invest in certainties, Lord Hand, not ambitions. Wolves still prowl, dragons hatch. He produced parchments listing lines upon royal mints. Tyrion's softened voice. A king's wedding proves stability. The Iron Throne will honor obligations with fresh tariffs. Grain flows from the Reach. Mines reopen in the Westerlands. 6 moons hence, the bank receives first installment, plus a token of good faith. 6 moons with guarantee signed by Lord Tywin. Tycho tapped parchment. Else we fund alternatives. Tyrion's blood chilled. Alternatives? A prudent investor diversifies. Tycho stood. We sup on your king's wedding, then sail for Dragonstone to review other proposals. He bowed and left. Tyrion pressed fingers to temples. Gold dragons and real ones. The bank's leverage threatened more dire than swords. The purple wedding dawned bright as polished brass. Bells clanged across sunlit domes. Tyrion donned doublet of deep wine silk, trimmed with black cloak of heavy wool. They called him Master of Revels, but he felt jester dancing on blade. The procession wound from sept to feast pavilion, erected on dry moat of the Red Keep. Banners snapped. Lion rose, stag, sunspear, tot. Guests filed to tables, laden with quails stuffed with figs, eels and mustard, towers of lemon cakes, iced violet. Joffrey sat upon high dais, crown newly forged of rose gold and barbs. Beside him, Marjorie in gown of pale rose petals, seemingly alive. Joffrey raised goblet to roar of crowd. Somewhere across chairs, Sansa sat rigid. Olenna chatted like sparrow. Tywin leaned back, evaluating all with soldier's eye. Tyrion's tasks blurred. Instruct musicians to quicken tempo, prod vintners to open casks, cue dwarfs for mock charge. When 2 dwarfs dressed as wolf and stag clashed to guests' laughter, he overheard Joffrey sneer. Perhaps Uncle would fancy the wool. Tyrion bowed and smiled, letting barbs pass. During third course a hush fell. Enormous pie wheeled forth crust lacquered gold. Joffrey drew sword, hacked. Doves erupted. Guests applauded. But one bird flew broken-winged, leaving blood specks on crust. Omen shrugged off. The gifts followed. Tywin presented Valyrian steel sword reclaimed from House Rain vaults. Joffrey dubbed it Widow's Wail, brandished wildly until blade nicked goblet from Tyrion's hand. Wine splashed. Joffrey laughed uproariously. The crowd forced strange chuckles. Tyrion retreated, found Shay disguised as wine pourer near back. Her eyes shone worry. He mouthed tonight. She nodded. Fourth course. A towering spun sugar lion breathing cinnamon sparks. Musicians played fingers blistering tune. Joffrey called for wine, empty cup raised. Tyrion near, seized flagon, filled. Sneer twisted king's mouth. Kneel, uncle, better aim. Laughter spread. Tyrion bowed slow, poured steady, eyes ice. Joffrey drained, demanded refill. Tyrion obliged. Moments later, Joffrey coughed. Guests hush. He coughed again, red creeping across throat. Wine dribbled, eyes bulged. He clawed at collar, foam flecking lips. The hall erupted. Marguerite shrieked, Tywin leapt. Maesters rushed. Joffrey convulsed, pointing toward Tyrion. Eyes pleading, then still. Silence fell, broken by Olenna's muffled exclamation. Then chaos. Guards seized Tyrion. Flagon knocked aside. Shae disappeared into crush. Sansa vanishing as well. Tywin roared orders unsheathed. The city's fragile peace shattered in a heartbeat, as if wildfire hidden in goblet found spark. As Tyrion was dragged away, he glimpsed purple blotches blooming across Joffrey's neck, poison's cruel blossoms. Irony sliced. He had slain a queen inadvertently. Now a king lay dead by unseen hand. Battlefields raged green on Blackwater, but courtrooms birthed wars of darker hue. Tyrion shouted above din, "Find the cup!" But words drowned in clamor. He felt manacles snap cold around wrists. Thus the lion's hull howled, and the city's chain, stretched taut under nights of tension, snapped unseen, links rattling into deeps where none might fathom their fall. Darkness claimed him in a cell beneath Traitor's Walk. Hours blurred into crawl of candle, a broad corridor. No word from Varys, none from Bronn. Only memory. Joffrey's finger stabbing air, eyes accusing. He dozed, woke to clang of bolts. A hooded figure entered, blood-red cloak over plain armor. Removing hood revealed Prince Oberyn Martell, Viper of Dorne, smile sharp. "Trials draw serpents," Oberyn said. "I visit to taste if yours proves sweet." Tyrion managed wry grin. "I'm fresh out of nectar. Come to gloat. To bargain." Oberyn crouched. "I desired justice for my sister Elia. Now kings fall like sand tower bricks. Offer me Gregor Clegan's head, and I will champion your innocence." Tyrion barked laugh that broke into cough. "My life weighs less than mountains, but I accept." Oberyn gripped his shoulder. "We dance with vipers and lions. Poison flows. Survive the first sting, and the rest scurried." He left. Tyrion slumped. Fate's Cives pieces tumbled anew. A prince of Dorne, a mountain, a dead boy, a vanished cup. Somewhere above, Tywin marshaled verdicts, while Sansa's absence spurred hunts, and Shae, he prayed, striped across narrow sea by now. Yet part of him doubted. Part feared she still hid in Brothel's shadow. Voice flitting across laundry lines. And Tywin's promise that family is all acquired new chill. In following days the cell saw many visitors. Pycelle droning of antlers in throat, blaming snake venom. Baelish feigning sorrow, suggesting purchase of judges. Bronn offering to break him free for castles beyond sea. Tyrion refused all. They touched bold positions he still studied. At last came Varys, solemn. "The trial begins tomorrow. Accusations stack like cordwood. Worse, your mistress. She was found among the tower of the hand's linen trunks, strangled by golden chain of your hand's sigil." Tyrion's breath died. He sagged. "Father." "I dared not say." Varys looked truly mournful. "But the stage is set. You must choose champion." "I have," Tyrion murmured. "Let vipers strike lions." Varys bowed and turned. Tyrion clutched bars. "Was she afraid?" "She cursed your father until breath fled." Varys's eyes brimmed. "She loved you." Tyrion closed eyes, tears burning. When he opened them, Varys was gone. He sank onto pallet, mind blazing not with grief but fury. Fury at father, at poisons, at gods who played dice. In memory, ghostgrass prickled wrist. Things sown in shadow bloom in light. He would bloom vengeance. Trial day. Gallery packed. Tywin presided, flanked by Mace Tyrell and Prince Oberyn. Cersei's seat absent, but heavy. Witnesses paraded. Pycelle brandishing moon tea vials. Sir Meryn describing dwarfs pouring drink. Kettleblack surviving sibling, swearing Tyrion menaced king. Each statement sword thrust. Sansa missing, presumed conspirator. Shae produced last, corpse pale recitations twisted into lies by constables. Her dead voice read from scroll. Bronn's handwriting forged. Tyrion's world spun. At recess he demanded trial by combat. Tywin's brows rose, reluctant but bound. Cersei named champion Ser Gregor Clegane. Tyrion's hope rested on Oberyn. The next morning, courtyard ring thundered with cheers. Sun glared. Oberyn danced, spear spinning, chanting, Alia of Dorne. The mountain lumbered, greatsword cleaving air. Tyrion watched from balcony. Heart a snared bird. Battle raged. Oberyn struck, dodged, taunted. Mountain bled. Yet last, stumble, spear shattered. Gauntlet seized prince's ankle. Crunch of bone. Scream. Mountain toppled upon him, hands crushing skull. Blood sprayed. Crowd gasped. Tyrion tasted bile. Sentence sealed. Night fell before execution. Jaime visited, jaw clenched. "You did not kill the boy," he said. "No." Tyrion sat shackled. "But father will never hear truth over triumph." "I will free you," Jaime vowed. "I've plotted with Varys, tunnels beneath the Tower of the Hand." Tyrion grasped hand. "Why?" "Because you are my brother." Jaime's eyes glistened. "And because vengeance is poison." Father drank too deep. Hours later, Jaime returned in cloak of night, keys rattling. Chains fell. They embraced, then parted. Jaime to distract guards. Tyrion guided by Varys through hidden passages. But Tyrion paused before one stair rising to Tower of the Hand, memory of Shae and father's threat beckoning like ghost. Varys urged him on. Tyrion shook head. "I have business unfinished." He climbed alone. Chamber door ajar. Inside Tywin's bedchamber, lamplight flickered. A female silhouette on bed. Shae Corio. Alive? No, eyes wide, terror. She gasped his name. Hand reached trembling. Betrayal stabbed deeper than bolts. She lunged for dagger. He grappled. Gold chain tangled. Struggle brief. Chain tightened. Her breath ceased. Tears blurred. He laid her gently, whispered apology. Then crossbow taken from wall, lion sigil etched. He stalked toward privy where torch burned. Tywin sat upon seat, robe, parted. Surprise froze his face. "Tyrion," he began. Tyrion raised bow. "You always speak of family." "Put down." "Where's mine?" String twanged. Bolt thudded. Shocked grunt. Second bolt lodged. Tywin slumped, eyes dim. Tyrion dropped bow, fled through tunnels. Varys waited amid stone serpents. He saw blood, said nothing, led him to crate within ship bound east. Sealed inside darkness, Tyrion trembled. Father slain, lover lost, kingdom falling to sons of war. Yet beyond sea lay new board, new pieces, dragons. He whispered to Void, "A lion learns." Outside, waves slapped hull, steady as a heartbeat reborn. Carrying the halfman toward dawn, no bell could yet herald.